To me, survival mode is primitive. What I mean by that is it's kind of feels panicky in a way.
Mhm.
It's full of anxiety to me, that word. You're like holding on for the next moment. Preserving is you're focusing for the next moment, if that makes sense. Preserving is more conscious. Survival mode I feel like is unconscious.
Mhm.
So I would say your life changes when you start choosing instead of reacting.
Hello and welcome to this episode of The Inner Estate with Bridget Stuart. Our guest today is Mason Weisberg. Mason, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You know, when I think about you, Mason, and what you've accomplished, you have had multiple careers where you've been successful in each, and you continue to refine and change your course depending on what's happening and how you can continue to achieve your life by design. So you are currently a life coach, which is really exciting. To becoming a life coach involved being in the military, being a police officer, and now a life coach. Can you share with everyone a little bit about your story and how you went along that path?
Yeah, I mean, all kids that have no direction, right? I joined the Navy at 20. Two deployments later, I came back around to the West Coast and left, and I joined the police force in Washington State, where I just furthered my kind of appreciation for the human psyche, pretty much. I mean, that's all you're dealing with all day.
Right.
And then due to the military and first response, I mean, my body kind of failed me, back problems and all that good stuff. And then along with my dad's suicide in 2023, came back home and through a vacation to Orlando, life coaching became kind of a vision for me. And so I went try to get my certification for it. And I really fell in love with kind of how you can help people without the therapy past side of it. You can kind of help push people forward.
Forward, right. And it was appealing to you when you were working as a police officer. As you said, that's where you sort of started to realize how much, as brutal as that is, and the difficult times you're facing as a police officer, you already started picking up that you felt satisfaction when you were helping people, either the people that needed help or the people that were in trouble, so to speak, and you were helping them get beyond some of their challenges. And you mentioned also one of the biggest catalysts for change, I believe, in your life is your father committing suicide when in 2023. So you were from the Phoenix area?
Yes, born and raised.
Okay. Born and raised. And that's the main thing that brought you home from Washington State.
Yeah, it was, I mean, that kinda just crumbled everything for probably a good 2 years, and then coming back, I always feel like, I'm like a superhero, I can stabilize everything, so, coming back,
Hmm.
I kinda helped the situation.
And you took on that role. So you took on the role of you were going to lift up and care for and be there for your siblings and your mother and extended family during that time. Did
Absolutely.
that did that take a toll on you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not only the initial impact, I mean, I had to go through hell pretty much. I mean, I have PTSD from the military, from first response, and then compounding, I have my own issues I was dealing with along with trying to keep them stable, give them an ear to talk to and all that good stuff. But through all that, the healing and the processing and learning about life coaching and talking to other people. And I mean, humanity's collaborative as much as some people don't think it is. Humanity is very collaborative. And when we start working together, there's some really nice outcomes.
Well, it is funny. I think about that sometimes. Humans are fascinated by other humans. Whether we want to acknowledge that or not, we truly are. And you're right. There's more that we can do together. But it sounds like you had that role of, and it sounds like you chose to take on that role of being the strong one that was going to be there and be that pillar for the family during such a time of loss and shock. And I'm sure many other adjectives we could put on there. When you were looking to get that strength for yourself, did you have to turn outside of the family? Where did you go for strength during that time?
Internally. And that's actually where my life coaching philosophy comes from. I call it you first. The three pillars of that are preserve, prioritize, rest. So I was in that preserve phase for a very long time,
Mhm.
probably a year and a half, where you're basically just protecting your energy,
Right.
creating your boundaries. What can I do today? It's the spoons theory. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's like
I have not.
I have 5 spoons
Hmm.
And doing the dishes takes 2 spoons just because of that's where your mind is. Once you hit 5 spoons, stop. Because if you spend more than the spoons you have, you're doing a detriment to your own psyche.
Gotcha.
So that's preserve. That's kind of where I was, and that's what helped me get through, really creating those boundaries, finding out what I want from my life. What does Mason at 40 look like, right? So
Hmm.
that's kind of what was important for me. And then prioritize was, you know what? I think going home, resetting, let's figure out what's next was important. So here I am prioritizing.
What does Mason at 40 look like? Can you share some glimpses into that?
I don't know. He could be about 4 different people right now.
That's good.
All I know is he's going to be happy with who he is. And that's
Excellent.
important.
Are you happy with who you are today?
I am. I've come a long way.
Good.
From,
I think
especially from say 10 years ago, right? Mason at 20, I'm way different than that guy. So
it's amazing sometimes when you stop and think back on that and,
crazy.
have some time to reflect on who you were in the past and who you've evolved into today.
Absolutely.
It's really interesting. So, as you go on this new chapter in life coaching, are you particularly drawn to helping a certain group of people, or are you really more interested in helping anyone who is seeking the help?
I think people I focus on, I love my communities, veterans, first responders, please. Anyone out there who's feeling stuck, burnt out, lost, high performer, but you're not at that high performance. You don't know why.
Right.
People who take care of everybody else, but not themselves. That's the big one. I
That is a
mean,
big one.
single moms, things like this where it's all about the kids, or it's all about my husband, or it's all about my wife, or it's all about my job. Where's the time for you?
Right.
If you don't look in the mirror in the morning and go, what do I want today? You might need help figuring out how to connect with your inner self again. And it's like the oxygen mask in the airplane.
Right.
What do they tell you? Put the oxygen mask on yourself first. You can't help anybody else. So if you're not getting oxygen, you're going to pass out.
Why do you think so many people struggle with that?
I don't know. It might sound weird, but I did notice it post COVID more, especially in policing. There's a lot of people who they just didn't care about themselves anymore. They cared about the dichotomy of the world or what their job's doing or, kids, family, like we talked about. I don't know why the focus on yourself, maybe because it's seen as selfish. If I go, I want steak tonight, no one else does, but that's what's going to make you happy.
Right.
Just eat steak. No one else has to eat steak. It's okay.
Right.
It's just, I don't know. Maybe that's why I think people see it as selfish when it's not selfish. It's just protecting yourself, your energy, your boundaries. Period.
Well, it really is for the benefit of others. When, as you mentioned, there's high performers that are no longer operating at their best. And there are caretakers that are losing their ability and their energy and their positivity and caretaking because they're not taking care of themselves. So it is one of those where it benefits everyone around you when you do take care of yourself. So ultimately, that is not selfish, it is giving. And it's so critical to maintaining everything you just described. If you're going to keep performing at a high level, or keep enjoying your current career, or have relationships that will hopefully thrive, ultimately, you have to take care of yourself first.
And you have to communicate from your own wants. I mean, especially in relationships, jobs. If you're not getting something you need and you just go, it's okay. It's not okay. I mean, a year, 2 years, however long it's going to take you, that resentment builds. You're going to get spiteful. That's when you start shifting your tectonic plates of your body. I mean, and then you're just different. You completely change into someone and you don't even know who you are anymore. And then you're screwed. Then you need that guidance to figure out either who you are or to get back to who you were. And a lot of people just don't take the time.
No. And a lot of people, I think, are stuck in this cycle with their current career or their current company.
Absolutely.
I think so many people are in a spot right now where they are unsatisfied at work or with their chosen career, but they feel as if they have built their life with that career and that's what's paying the bills. And even if they're doing well, it's not enough where they feel comfortable that they could make a break or make a change. How often do you think that ties in with people losing that edge that they may have for a high performer or not taking care of themselves anymore? Do you think that plays a big role?
I do. And I think that actually plays a lot into military and first response, especially military. Steady, able, you can't get fired. No, all of these things. You're getting paid regardless. Dudes who are in 18, 19, 20, they're over 20 years, they could retire and do something else and they're just scared.
Right.
They don't want the change. They don't know what they like. Like all they know is, I was in the Navy,
Right.
but they don't. They literally can't see past the door. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not a window, it's a literal door. And they're like, I don't want to open that. That's scary. And the same for first response. I mean, dudes who are in like 28 years can't even, they barely do the job anymore. And they're like, I don't have hobbies. Like, this is it. And you've lived for 50 years and you don't have a hobby? What's going on? Let's figure it out. I'd love to figure that out with somebody.
I do think what you described is prevalent in the military and with first responders. Do you think it's because it is, I'm going to be paraphrasing one of their old recruiting ad campaigns, but it's like more than a job. It becomes like an entire family. It's more than just what you're doing at work. Do you
It's a
think that
lifestyle.
leads to lifestyle and the sense of community and camaraderie is very strong and deep? Do you think that makes it harder for people to step away from it?
I'd say military, definitely. I mean, there's not a day that goes by that I don't miss the groups of people that I was working with. I mean, they're amazing. And I haven't really gotten that anywhere else. First response, great crew, but the amount of closeness you get living with people on deployment, I mean, I get it. You get really close and you don't want to lose that because you're like, man, I go work at name your company, Amazon. I'm not going to have these close relationships that I do now. And I get that, but your hobbies might. You can find a nice hiking group or a mountain biking group or something, and you start building camaraderie that way. But people don't, it's comfortable. People don't want to break comfortable. So
I have a question for you in terms of moving back to Arizona and making this next career journey. Do you think that it would have happened if the incident with your father had not happened? Do you think you would still be a police officer in Washington State? Or do you think that you would still be back in Arizona?
that's $1 million question. And I've asked myself that multiple times. I really don't know where I'd be. Because I know I didn't want to stay in Washington,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if coming back to Arizona would have been my next move. I'm not sure.
But I think your point is not so much to fall in love with amusement parks. It's to find out what it is that gives you a pressure release valve and refills your coffers and makes you feel excited and alive and, fulfilled in a way that is
Absolutely.
not attached just to your work or just to your responsibility. Is that a good?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have to worry about the animals. I have to worry about other divers. No, but that maybe one day I'll come around to it. But I think that's cool. So another thing I hear from you is you know something you love and you keep that in your life and you're looking for more.
Absolutely.
So you're not allowing yourself to be you are seeking out things that are going to allow you to explore and enjoy and continue to grow outside of work and outside of responsibility.
Yeah, and I think that's where I get stuck, right? Those are my own things. I want to do too many things, right? Like, I want to do this and this and this. And then I look around and I'm like, whoa, what am I doing?
What am I doing? Yeah.
Like, bring it back to prioritize, what's first.
Well, I
Coaching right
want to
now is
loop back for a minute. You mentioned that the ways that you keep yourself, and I think I'm paraphrasing, but like grounded and secure. And one of them is persevering. Was it persevere or was it preserve?
preserve.
And one of those was preserving.
Yes.
So preserve is a key word for you. How is preserving, how is that different from survival mode?
When you're consciously preserving instead of surviving, I feel like you're able to more easily, you know, and really center yourself as to where you are, who you are, and what you want. And survival mode is just like, holy smokes, how do I pay the bills? It just feels more desperate. People are in survival mode. That is allowed.
Yeah.
But you have to preserve.
Yes. Being in survival mode too long has directly been led to actual physical manifestations, illness, disease. Yeah, if you are just maintaining that stress level, I would think one of the ways they're different for me as well is survival mode is reactionary and it's very external, and you're making your decisions about actions to take or not take based on all external factors. When you are preserving, it's less about the external and more about the internal. You're more tuned in to your own self and protecting and preserving what's going to allow you to keep moving forward in spite of the stress. Is that,
Exactly.
yeah. I think that's really a subtle, when we're describing it out loud, it's subtle, yet it can have a huge impact just on how you operate every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's like doing an I am statement for self-conscious folks. Look in the mirror. Even if it's one I am statement, I am smart. Something as simple as that can really start to change your mood, because how many people call themselves dumb every day, right?
Yeah.
So many. And they're geniuses. They're super smart at what they do, or they're super creative, but they're like, man, I'm so dumb.
Right.
Why? Why say that? Preserve an I am statement. It's preserving.
I think it's really critical. I'm glad that you brought that up. What were the other P's that you use?
Prioritize and progress.
Okay. So it's preserve, prioritize, and progress.
Yes.
In that order, usually.
In that order most of the time.
Most of the
'Cause
time.
unless you're like backstepping and you're like redoing steps, but even then the steps are still the same.
Right.
For me, it's figure out yourself, figure out your vision, do the vision. That's kind of how I did it, and I feel like that's how I've taught a couple other people how to do it, and it works well.
Well, one of the things that you brought up that I find very intriguing is the people that are either in the military or first responders that feel as if there's nothing, I'm probably being dramatic, but nothing more to them than their career and what they're currently doing. And as a life coach, I believe you have a desire to work with military or first responders that are considering making that move to help them discover what else they could do in life that would be satisfying or exciting, or, fill in the blank with what they're looking for, customizing it
Absolutely.
to them. Or if they have made the move and they are struggling, that you would like to work specifically with them to guide them and help navigate through their own. They're still doing the work, they're still doing the discovery, right? It's not like you have a magic wand and you just ding, fixed.
No.
But you want to work with them to help see that there's more to them than what they're seeing right now.
And that's anybody. Like even your Wall Street banker, right? That's all he knows.
Right.
Stocks, stocks, stocks. And then he leaves stocks and he's like, oh,
Right.
I like fancy hotels. That's about it. I don't know. And you're like, all right, dude, what else do you like?
Hmm.
It's for me, it's finding that next, finding who you are in that next.
Right. Did you have a life coach as you were recuperating from the loss of your father?
I did. I mean, technically no, but yes, through my schooling. It was just later on in the process.
Hmm.
So in my program, we all coach each other. So I've had a couple of life coaches through that inadvertently have helped me a lot, actually do that, preserve and prioritize. Amazing people. So yeah, I guess so. And honestly, for me, it's better than therapy. I don't really vibe with therapy. I did therapy for the first year or whatever, just
Right.
focusing on is death. Don't blame yourself. All these things. And then the trauma from my military and first response and all this other thing. I don't want to focus on that anymore.
Right.
I know it happened. It's back there.
Right.
It already happened. I can't change it. So what can I change? And that's where life coaching really caught me. I got the bug because what's next? Who are you?
Right.
Not what has happened.
What can we change?
Exactly.
We can change who we are today, how we're perceiving ourselves today, and what we're going to do in the future, right?
Exactly.
I always looked at it as, and I will say, if anyone's listening to us and they're like, well, these two are just making it sound too easy. You and I, if we did some personality testing, I would imagine that we both would fall in this category of looking forward or being futuristic. So I do think it comes easier to some of us than others. But I know for me, similar to what you were saying, more traditional therapy, I felt like I was looking in the rear view and the side view mirror, or trying to look over my shoulder through the back windshield. And in life, I wanted to look through the windshield. I wanted to look at the road ahead.
Right.
And that's a subtle difference for me. I hired my first life coach. I was thinking about this while I was preparing to meet with you, and I believe it was in the mid to late 90s. I'm trying to put my finger on it. I think it was around 94, 95. And I know that they helped me get real clarity in my life at that time, and are one of the factors that led me to step away from corporate America and get into real estate in 1998. And to be able to do it without a lot of the fear or anxiety that would come along with making a move that big, leaving a really good corporate job, to get into a highly competitive, high turnover rate, 100% commission career,
Yeah.
which I've now loved for going on 28 years. So it's interesting. And if I think a good message I would love for our listeners to hear is, if you know that you want change and growth and you have tried more traditional options out there and you're still feeling stuck, if you have not tried having a life coach, I think it is well worth giving that a shot.
Just different. And that might be what makes it work, because it's different.
Right. It is. It's a different focus. It's different conversations. And this word is so overused. I hate to say it out loud, but it empowers the individual, because you're part of the creation that's involved. Obviously, you're part of the conversation in both types of approaches, but you're truly part of the author of the actions and the plans that you're going to make and take.
I'd say, especially if you're the personality that likes to quote unquote complete things, because during coaching, you're going to get, hey, you should do this by the time we meet. And then you do it. And
Right.
then that person's like, man, I did it. And they just get so excited about it. And they tell you the next time, and you're like, good job. And they're like, man, they said good job. And I don't know, you just hype
Right.
each other up, and that energy builds and builds. And then you start bringing it into your day to day life, and other people start to notice. And then honestly, the world becomes your oyster, because you're just a ball of energy, and people love
Right.
balls of energy. It doesn't have to be like loud. You don't have to be like loud about it. But if you walk into a room and you're a ball of energy, people notice.
They can sense it. Yes. We definitely pick up on people's energy and vibe all the time. So it's very funny. And you would have a very acute awareness of this. People can also pick up on negative energy before you even say a word, before you even speak. People can pick up on. That's why oftentimes people are like, "Are you okay?" And you haven't said anything or done anything, and you're like, "I'm fine," because sometimes you are fine, and you might have just had an odd expression. Yet most of the time, they're right, and there is something that is gnawing at you or upsetting you, or or you don't feel well, whatever it might be. So it is interesting. That if we lean in a little bit more on the intuitive side, you are correct. That energy will come through, and it's going to make a difference both at home and at work. And I'm including even if you live alone, you're
Yeah,
still going to
absolutely.
see a difference. It's still going to
You
be
go to the
different.
grocery store, same as everybody else.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So I
And it's
do.
a learned skill. It is a learned skill, just for
Yeah,
people out there like, I've never had that. I've never felt that, or whatever. You can.
you will.
You
And
just haven't,
you're right. It is learned.
you just
Just
haven't had to wait.
like telling yourself you're dumb, typically also learned.
Absolutely.
Right. It is. But I don't say that to be sad about it. That should actually be exciting when you realize that your self beliefs are not carved in stone and that your brain is actually still malleable. I remember for a while, thankfully, this has been quite a while, but there was a lot of conventional wisdom that was going around that was, your brain is fixed and frozen by the age of 10. Like there were a lot of these things where like that just were so limiting on change or growth. If you didn't learn a foreign language by then, don't even try. You're too young, so I don't think you were around for that. But I'm glad that we've moved away from that and we understand the power of our brain, and that you can learn how to adjust your self perception.
Exponentially. I mean, it's like, don't teach an old dog new tricks, right? But old dogs learn new tricks all the time.
They do. Yeah. So I think there's so much potential for anyone who might be listening to us speak right now. If you were going to share one thing a listener could start in their life right now, you gave one example earlier when you talked about making at least one I am statement that is at least neutral or positive. I believe you said positive, but doing one I am statement. Could you give one more tidbit? So is there something, if someone is feeling stuck, overwhelmed, surrounded by chaos. They've lost their belief in themselves or their ability. What is one small step they could take right now that could make a difference?
It's with everything. A very, very, very good teacher um, in my first response would always say, "Be ready so you don't have to get ready." And that should kind of bleed into your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're ready for something, you're not reacting anymore, you're deciding. Reaction is unconscious. You can make the wrong choice in that split second, but if you're already ready for it, you'll make the right choice every time.
I think that's great. Can you say it one more time?
Your life changes when you start choosing instead of reacting.
I really think that's a powerful statement. And we live in an era of reaction.
Reactions, AI videos, all this
Yeah.
other stuff where people get mad instantly. And then it's like, no, wait, that was fake. And they're like, instead of learning about it. And then they're like, oh, that's AI. Done.
Right.
I don't even got to worry about it.
Right. So I love that. So start choosing rather than reacting. Well, thank you. And I do think that is something that could start to allow some peace into someone's mind if they can stop with reactions and give themselves the gift of time to listen, hear, accept, and choose.
Absolutely.
And focus on, to go back to another thing you mentioned earlier, focus on what you can actually control.
Yeah. And then that's where you get to progress. Once you have all of those in mind, you can progress. Because if everything matters, nothing matters. So if the things you care about are the only things you care about, then those things are going to start coming true for you. You know, if you care about everything else, what mom, pop, everyone else, the guy across the street, what they're thinking, you're never getting anything done. Just focus on you and things will fall into place. People will notice and you'll be able to help others way, way better than you ever have.
Well, I think that's really remarkable. And I want to thank you so much for being our guest today and for being so vulnerable and sharing so much of your life experience that is now benefiting others. So
Thank you for having
being
me,
here.
Bridget. Thank you so much.
And if you're listening to this episode of The Internet State, I hope that you will come back for the next episode and leave any comments or questions you may have for Mason wherever you're consuming this podcast.